Good morning again, and here we are. If we could just keep on our mask, people would start getting better. But while Mrs. Deitz is in her house, she can take off her mask. She doesn't have to wear it while she's in the house. Now, Mrs. Deitz, remember our pillow last year that Mrs. Deitz's nephew sent her? It says, between the pages of a book is a lovely place to be, because you can learn all kinds of things between the pages of a book. And when we say between the pages of the book, we mean between here and then the pages in the book. Well, last week we all had to be in. We all had our umbrellas out. And Mrs. Deitz decided maybe, since we had so much rain last week, we had people that have said they had about this much rain, and I can't even stretch my fingers for some people because they had so much rain. There was even some flooding, and that's when the creeks and the water floods over onto the road when you have so much rain. So Mrs. Deitz thought it might be fun to read about a raindrop and see what happens with a raindrop. Now, we read this book last year, and I don't know if you remember. And the other thing we're going to do with this book, Mrs. Deitz, it has given your teachers a sheet. And on the sheet, it has a cloud, and it has the rain coming out. And your teachers will give it to you and tell you what to do. And if they give it to you now, you can kind of follow it as Mrs. Deitz reads the story. And the story is called Little Raindrop. Now, this is a true science story, but it's also a pretend story because the raindrop is talking and telling us what he's doing. So let's see what this little raindrop does. And remember, Mrs. Deitz's eyes aren't very good, so she has to read it and then turn it around and show you the picture. When I was a raindrop, I lived up in a cloud. When you go outside today, see how many clouds you can see. One day, thunder rumbled by and boomed out very loud. Come now, little raindrops, get ready to let go. You've got important work to do down in the world below. So we also have the cloud telling the raindrops that they all have to get ready because they're going to go down onto the ground, down to the earth. Can we see here? And here's more clouds, and we've got thunder. Let's see what happens. A flash of zigzag lightning streaked across the sky. Oh, cried all the raindrops. See you later, cloud. Goodbye. They jumped into the air, and I jumped with them too. Have fun, said Cloud. I wish that I could come along with you. Look what happened. We had the thunder and the lightning, and the rain started coming down. The raindrops started coming down. And the cloud wishes he could come down too, but he's sending the raindrops. Down and down we fell, giggling, shouting, whee! Oh, what fun to be a raindrop, flying free. From high in the sky we saw the earth below. Sunbeams shone through us and made a lovely big rainbow. Did you know that a rainbow happens when the sun shines through the water? Look here. We have a rainbow where the sun's shining through the raindrops, and we have all the raindrops coming down to earth. Let's see what happens when they get to earth. After that, quite suddenly, I landed with a splat. and dribbled down the tail of a soggy farmyard cat. I seeped into the soil, trickling down and down, past wiggly worms far below the ground. See where he landed? And some of the raindrops landed on the cat. And then they're going way down into the soil to make it wet, but they go past wiggly worms and way down into the soil. This way, the flower told me, and then it opened wide. What a nice surprise to see my raindrop friends inside. We had so much fun sharing stories of our day as the warm sun slowly set and the light faded away. See the flower and all the raindrops that are inside the flower. But it's getting nighttime. Let's see what happens at night. We tried to count the stars instead of counting sheep, but the petals were so comfy that we all fell fast asleep. When the morning came, the sun shone hot and bright. We all felt quite particular, sort of shaky and light. So the next day, they had the sun, just like we had yesterday and today. See how they came down? They were in the flower all night, and now they're feeling a little funny. Slowly, we drifted upward. There was no way to resist, for I and all my raindrop friends had turned into a mist. What's happening, I asked, floating higher with the crowd. The others laughed and said, we're going back into our cloud. Did you know that that's what happens? That the rain comes down to the earth, and when the sun shines up in the sky, the heat makes it. Let's stop and just talk a minute. When mommy is cooking something, or grandmama, or on the stove, and they have water, you can see steam coming up out of the pot. And that's what happens with the rain. It's like a mist or a steam, and it goes back up into the clouds. Let's see what happens when it gets up there again. Welcome back, said Cloud. I hope you all had fun. It's time for you to rest now that there's lots of sun. But soon the wind will blow again and turn the weather vane, and you'll have more adventures next time. See them back up in the clouds? Next time it starts to rain. Now, what we just read, and I'm going to give you a word. I want you to say it with me. And the word is cycle. Cycle just means something that is round. And we have lots of cycles. Our year cycles. We have January every new year, and we go through the months in a cycle. Well, that's what happens with rain. The water comes from the clouds down to the earth, and then the sun comes out again, and it goes back up. And then when it comes down again to the earth, it goes back up. That's called a water cycle. So you've learned a new word, and we have talked about the rain. So the next time you have rain, we have rain, I want you to look at the rain and watch how it comes down to the earth. And then watch how the earth gets dry when the sun comes out, because the water is going back up into the clouds. Now there's some fun things that you can do with your sheet, either with your teacher or home. But see where we have the cloud and we have the rain coming down. And now you know that the rain goes back up. Goodbye, boys and girls. Mrs. Deitz will see you again next